Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Heart and Soul Connected. I'm Allie, and I'm pleased to be here. And today I am here with the illustrious oil painter, Diana Boles. Oh,
Hi,
welcome.
everybody. How are you? Hi, Allie.
Hi.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to join you.
Oh, absolutely. I love your cards. I had to find them before I came on today just because I like to hold them because they're the right hand size, and I love the illustrations. And I guess you're going to be working on talking a little bit more about how to read them in the way that you read them, but not with me today.
Well,
Yeah,
no, but it's always up to the person
the
holding the
person.
keys. Because
That's
the
true.
keys open the door and you can walk in the room.
Correct.
And then what are you taking out of the room with you? It's about what your perception is and what you need when you get there. So
Right. Yep.
there's
Yep.
just different layouts that I use and things of that nature.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay. Well, it will be wonderful to hear them later because it will illuminate different ways to use the cards as well. So I'm all
right.
for that. Yeah.
Well,
And Ron
and
says he's got them too. Ron's on here today. He said, I got them too.
no, hi Ron, how are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and look, what just jumped out of the deck while I was shuffling
Oh,
it, just for us.
just for us.
Just for
Lots
us.
of
I used
wisdom.
to rescue raptors, and owls
Oh,
were the easiest to work with.
were they?
Hmm.
Wow.
The if the ultimate goal is to rescue, rehabilitate, and release, but when you
Uh-huh.
can't do that, they stay infirmed. They stay with the organization. And I
Okay.
was working with Raptor Conservancy of Virginia.
Hmm.
And anyways, when they can't be released, in order for you to keep your license, each bird has to have so many hours of education time per year.
Really?
So that
Wow.
gets divvied up between however many you have that have
Hmm.
to stay in captivity.
Okay.
So when you first do that, you try to get them healed. They go to a vet, they get checked over, then they come back and stay infirmed. And then
Uh-huh.
they go to a flight cage. And then in there, we feed them live mice.
Uh-huh.
And they have to go and
Sure.
chase them and try to support themselves with the food that's
Correct. So
available.
they know how to take care of themselves. Yeah.
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 And
Mhm.
that usually takes, 3-4 months to make sure that they're getting what they need.
Yeah.
And sometimes they just show that they can't do it.
Uh-huh.
Or if they're blinded and certainly won't be able to be
True.
released by that,
Right.
or maimed in such a way that they cannot
Hmm.
be released. So those are
Right.
the things that keep them in captivity. But they're working, because then they
Yes.
go to state fairs, they go to schools, they go. I
Oh, so
used to
they
give
work for their
teachers,
dinner. Yeah, they work.
they work for their dinner. I used to take
Wow.
one to the school that I taught at.
Okay.
So, and I showed her. In fact, I've got a tattoo of
And do
her.
they like if you had an owl, would it stay on your arm like this, like a hawk
Well,
might?
you have their jesses on so that the jesses
I see.
are, you can hang on to the jesses and that gets tied to your belt.
I see. Okay.
So that if they go somewhere, they're not going anywhere but down because they can't fly. They can't drag you. They're only
Okay.
2 pounds, 3 pounds.
Oh, okay. They're tiny. They're
Yeah.
light. Okay.
Well, even an eagle only weighs about 4 pounds tops.
I had no idea
They're
because
all
there is an
feather and
eagle
hound.
behind me in my area where I live, and they said, "Be careful of my little tiny April Joy because they can pick her right up and take her away."
Oh, they can do that. They did
Okay.
before I bought this house. The dog that was here was a little Shih Tzu,
Yep.
and a red tail picked her up. Couldn't carry her very far, but took her a half an acre away and dropped her, and she was injured because it's with their talons, and
Yeah.
that what they're
Sure.
trying to do is kill immediately with their talons,
I
so
see.
that it's quick and as painless as possible.
Yeah. 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 Wow. Oh my goodness. And that's exactly what I have. So yes, I'm trying to be very diligent with it. I just want to mention this. Larica was asking about your cards, and these are cards. They're called oh God, something T. What is it? Clarity cards.
There you
Clarity.
go,
Yes.
clarity.
C
Like
L
when
A
you
I R
Right? When
and
you
then
sit down to think things
for
out,
clarity.
sit with a
Yeah,
little cup of tea.
right.
This is a
Clarity card.
card of tea.
That's right. And she is an oil painter, and she created each of these cards using her oils, and of course they're go ahead. You know more
Well,
than I
yeah,
do.
I have to correct you on that because
Okay.
with these, I
Mhm.
had cards that were this size and they're coated. So what
Oh,
I
okay.
used was permanent extra fine point pens.
Okay.
So I used the Sharpie extra fine in permanent ink. So I could smear it, but only once it was while it was wet.
While it
So
was
my
wet.
fingers were
Okay.
all the colors that are in this
That are in the
in these
cards.
decks,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
And they are just gorgeous, honestly.
Thank you.
They
Thank you so
really
much.
are. And she does give I don't even know if I've seen this one before. I don't think I've ever pulled it, but I love it.
It's
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
number 4. That's
Number
autumn.
4. Yeah.
The magic of autumn.
Yeah. And she does give, some ideas about what each card means, but of course, it's always up to the person as well, like she said, what you get. They are lovely, Lorica, very lovely. And if anybody wants, I think they're $25, if I'm correct.
That
And
includes shipping.
she sells them herself, and
Mhm.
she would be happy to, I could pass along if you want me to her, if you wish to buy them, and
Sure.
she'll get in touch with you. Yeah.
Just my
Yeah.
email. That's
Okay.
that's the way to reach.
That's all you need to do is just email her. Yes.
Mhm.
So yes, so I'm bringing this up, but this is only one of many things I want to talk about. But I did want you all to meet Oil Painter because
Because we've talked
when
in the
I
chat
saw
room.
these, I know when I saw these the first time I was with Jennifer, and
Oh, right.
and Danny,
Oh,
you said
right.
use
That
them,
show was
right? And I
great.
said, oh my God, I love them. And then I was surprised by getting them in the mail, and it really thrilled me. And fortunately, she didn't give up on me because she didn't tell me they were coming, and I was away. And when I had all my mail held, yeah, and she's wondering, did I ever get them? So I was thrilled. Anyway, they're beautiful, and can't say enough about them. I enjoy using them. So
Thank you so much.
you're welcome. I just want to take a minute to say good morning to everybody. Of course, Ron and and some of our other moderators, thank you. Sherry and Larica, of course, from Sweden. And we've got Janet, Sharon Sipe again, another great moderator, Janet, Lauren Hunsinger, and Butterfly Kisses Sue, Cardamancy Mesquite, who is lurking, she says.
Lurker.
And that is okay. You can lurk all you want.
That's
Dear.
right.
And Vivian, yes.
Lots
Thank
of
you guys.
familiar names. Hi, kids.
Yeah, and Tracy Ralph. There we go. Yeah. Thank you. And Mary Thornberry. Thank you. Strawberry Rhubarb. Hello, Sharon. Nice to see you. So yes, again, this is Diana Boles, and we're going to be talking a little bit about resilience and her process over time. And of course, as I mentioned before, she is the one that has these wonderful clarity cards. And if anybody's interested, just email me and I will hook you guys up together for the card. Yeah. So let's start. One of the impetuses of our discussion today was going to be about your resilience and why you might have turned to YouTube for those during those days. So I'd love to hear what you have to say about that.
Well, I do have to back the time frame up.
You do it. Yep.
Okay. It was 2015 when I knew that my life was going to change. In 2009, I had gotten divorced. Now, I have to say, I gave a vow. And though I no longer was his wife, never ever wanted to be his wife again, I made a vow, and I did not know how to stop being his spouse.
Okay.
I didn't speak to him for 5 years.
And
then one day I agreed to have coffee. And so then every little once in a while, I would get together to have coffee. And then he started having back issues and needed surgery to fuse vertebrae together because he was going through stenosis like we all get.
Right.
And he needed help with those things. So, of course, I had to step up and help him. He was sick. So I helped him through those 2 surgeries. And then at the end of 2015 or 2016, sorry, he was diagnosed with colon cancer, terminal. So I knew then that I was going to retire from work and move back home to Michigan, where my family still is. I had nobody else in Virginia except him, really, that was a tie.
Was
My
keeping
son,
you there. Yeah.
right. My son that did live in Virginia, one son lived in Virginia with his wife, and they had moved to Ohio several years prior. And then my other son was working overseas, and he and his girl were moving to LA, where they still are. So there was really no reason for me to stay put in Virginia. And it was just time. So with all of that, it brought me to the graduation of my final class of kids in 2018. And I couldn't go to the graduation ceremony because it was the day he died.
Oh.
So that just did it.
Yeah.
That just did it. And the house went up for sale. And it sold lickety split. I had to come and find this house. Actually, the years are running together, right? It was 2019 because I moved here in 2019.
Okay.
So I did do my last graduation, but I couldn't do the one in 2018 because that was the day he died.
Okay.
Anyway, so when I got here, well, we all know what was going on at the end of 2019.
Right. And you're in Michigan now.
And I'm in Michigan. Right. I'm an hour away in every direction to any family member.
Okay. Okay.
So it's not like they were my next door neighbor or just down the street where there was a group, somebody to talk to, you know.
Right.
They had jobs to go to. I'm the only retiree except for one of my brothers. So, you know, it just became difficult. And I'm the blue dot in the Red Sea.
Oh, you poor thing.
So,
nobody to talk to and complain with. Yeah.
But nobody to play with. Lovely neighbors, but nobody to play with. And so it just, I had never watched YouTube prior to that. Except how to fix something on my Subaru or something, you know, how to fix this refrigerator ice maker. What's wrong with that?
Correct.
So, so I just didn't want to go crazy because knock, knock, knock inside my brain is all my guides screaming and hollering, and I'm trying to sort them all out and keep them all calm because I'm the one causing them to not be calm. And I found stability in listening and, you know, practicing with you guys, because who could I read for? I couldn't even establish anything because we went right into shutdown by the end of the year. So that was that. That's
wow.
So I had been considering making my own tarot deck for a long time because I have, for personal readings for myself, the energy of the day, generally one day at a time. I have an elaborate pattern that I use where I use several decks and I talk to each one of my guides, and each deck is designated for a certain guide.
That's cool. Okay.
Thank you.
I love that. Yeah.
And I don't use that particular deck for anyone else but me.
Anyone else.
Or a very close family member. And I might have, you know, another deck like it that I would use for another member. Right. But not because it's paper. It absorbs. And the energy you put into it while you're talking and shuffling. And if you're reading for someone, even if you're online, there's vibrations coming over the airwaves. So all of those vibrations are being absorbed
in the cards. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So anyways, I had thought about that for a long time. And I kept thinking, how am I going to do this? I would have to have a game board. And a game board is going to mean it's going to be stuck on a shelf with Milton Bradley, and that is not at all what this is about.
Sure.
You know, how do I
understand. Yeah.
You know, how do
That's logical. Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So this was like just before Christmas of 2020.
Okay.
And so as the holidays progressed and the celebrations were over with, I started on the deck of cards.
Mm-hmm.
And what I had done was abandon the big deck. Now, mind you, I still have it in here. It's going to happen, but it's going to happen a little deck at a time so that each deck just all ends up working together.
Sure.
I digress. So while I'm getting all these ideas on how to do this, Nancy Jean is getting her vibrations
for the garden,
for her crystal garden.
Wow.
So here she and I were on this same level. Mm-hmm. She is getting the messages that I'm trying to answer the questions for. And the way she describes was exactly what I was describing. Wow. And she came up with the perfect solution using the crystals on her scarf. I mean, how perfect is that?
I know.
It's exactly what I was trying to do with a big deck with 100 cards or whatever the case.
100? Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, for tarot. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I mean, I use 10 decks.
Sure.
When I do these energies, 3 or 4 cards from each deck, but you still have to have the deck to retrieve the cards.
I agree. Okay.
So at any rate, that's what I did to entertain myself. And there's like the same day I finished the last card, she announced that she was making prototypes of this garden.
Wow. I didn't know how long you had been how long these had been available. When I, was interested in them, but I didn't realize it was just that short time ago, really, because that wasn't that long ago when Nancy Jean. Yeah.
No, it wasn't. And with these, I said by June 15th, you need to have a printer. And on June 13th, I found a printer. And on June 15th, I delivered them to him and he printed them.
And I love the size of them. I mean, I really do. I mean, I like big ones, small ones, all that, but these are just, I don't know. They fit your hand very nicely. Yes.
You can put this in your pocket. You can put these in a bag, your purse, and take them with you, a diaper bag, and take them with you.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I want to say hi to Andrea Galvin. Thanks for coming, dear. Thank you so much. Yeah. I have something I wanted to bring up here because I saw it, and MK Karen, who says she's away, but just checking in with us. She noticed you 3 years ago on Milu's channel.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know you were on Milu's. What did you do when you were on there? Did you do a reading or something?
I don't remember. I think I was just in the chat room. I don't think.
In the chat. Oh, yeah. I didn't even see.
So all of these names are familiar because I've been in the chat.
I understand. Yeah. No, now I thought you were on the show. Okay. It's okay. Juno, who is really going through a transformation as well, says that she plays it's binaural beats for each deck. That is really fascinating. I've never thought about doing what you do as far as using one deck for different guides, or even one deck for career, one for physical, one for spiritual. You could do it that way too, I suppose.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what these are very helpful with individuating.
Correct. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know. I feel very, and it's funny too, because I'll also mix them up when I'm doing readings. Like I'll pull one of your cards and I may pull another one for verification or whatever of more information. I like doing it that way instead of just using one deck sometimes too. Sure. So sacred scarabs, like runes. Okay. Yes, and Juno just had her Akashic records done by Bob, and he is fabulous. So
I watched him.
Yes, he's wonderful. Thanks everybody for your, okay, putting Diana, Andrea's going to come in here and remind you to do this. So go right ahead.
Okay. And Andrea and I are putting together a video that is going to be made available to Allie, who's going to post it through her channel. And it will be the explanation of the cards and how other messages can come to you and how to go ahead and use them, and give you a few other ideas on how to lay a pattern
Lay
out.
them out.
And
Yeah.
there's 28 cards, so you can definitely do a grand tableau with these. You know,
Like a
4 rows
Lenormand
and
deck.
7 cards across,
Right.
and
right.
read that too.
Yep. So in other words, I don't know how many people here are really familiar with, I'm sure you've heard of Lenormand decks. This isn't a Lenormand though. No. But you can set it up like one. Yeah. Okay.
It's, well, it's not even a Kipper, but it's probably closer to Kipper than Lenormand.
Yep. And when I was first looking into different cards that I felt comfortable doing, the tarot, to me, people that can read the tarot are fabulous people. It's very difficult for me, but I really resonate with oracles, with the Kipper, and these just make me feel really comfortable with what the message might be. So yeah, and there are people that don't also resonate with tarot, but I know that I could, when I'm watching somebody do it, I have a fairly good idea what it's trying to say. But if it was me sitting here and I got a lot of court cards or something, that's where I get lost, not on the major arcana. But how about yourself? Did you study tarot first?
Well, I go back to like when I was 17 years old,
Okay.
16 years old. So yes and no. I have a lot of soothsayers in my family. My mother always had a deck around. It just kind of went along with my life. My first tarot deck, of course, was the Pamela Coleman Smith regular Rider-Waite deck.
Right.
But then the one that really clicked with me was the Aquarian Tarot, and that came out in 76.
Oh, it's that old?
Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
pretty old.
Okay.
And that's when, well, it came out around the time Hair came out.
Okay, I remember that.
So, I remember that really well. That might have been a little bit earlier than that, but I always associated.
No, you connected it with that. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
So
hair,
anyway,
beautiful hair.
Yeah, right. Flow it, long as I can grow it.
That's right. You rock it, girl. That's great.
Yeah, right. A headbanger from way back. You betcha.
That's great.
I have musicians all through my life. My grandfather, my brothers, my mother, my dad could sing.
Wow.
I play the words. My sons both play a fistful of instruments. So yeah.
Wow, that's fabulous. So it definitely was one of those dominant DNA traits then.
Yeah. Well, there's no one way to be talented.
That's correct.
And there's no one way to be gifted. There's
right.
no one way to be a man. There's no one way to be a woman or a child or anything.
Amen.
And I'm quoting Chrysilla Piccola Estes in that,
Right.
She's phenomenal. I really enjoy her books. It's like, can we find the definition of normal?
Oh, yes.
Anybody really know what normal is? Because every day is a new normal for me.
It reminds me of the guy. Remember, did you see Young Frankenstein many years ago when he
many
back
times
with the brain? Some guy named Abby Normal. That's me.
That's right. Abby Normal.
Oh,
yeah, for sure.
Great. Yeah. Wow. Sure. So you started with the Aquarian, and you utilized that and felt most comfortable after the Pamela Smith and the other one that you started with.
And I never say witch like it's a bad thing, because I really identify with being a witch.
Okay, that's all
It's
right.
not, I'm not Wiccan.
Right.
I'm more pagan. I'm not pagan. I'm Catholic. There's certain things there I can't even let go of, and yet
Yeah,
I'm a recovering Catholic. You know what I mean?
I understand, and that's what all of them are that are
Right.
our
Yeah,
age. Yes,
it's
that's true.
it's putting the truth together,
That's
because
right.
all the church did was feed off of the Druids and the pagan
That's right. But
path.
they instilled the fear as well and the control. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Right. And that's what they did to the Native Americans as well.
I know.
No, it's
Yeah.
Wakantanka. It is
Yeah.
one great spirit, one
That's
great
right.
mystery,
That's right.
for
Yep.
sure.
Yeah. Wow.
So the
That's what I
result,
have on my Facebook for my main page. It says that I am a Buddhist stoic. I list all of these things that I am basically.
right?
But what is it? Tuesdays with Maury, in the old book that was written about him. He called himself a mutt, a Heinz 57.
Right.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good
That's pretty
explanation.
much it. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
also a yoga instructor. So, I can't leave Buddha
Oh,
out.
okay.
Yeah, but I
No.
don't teach because,
Okay.
ugh,
You're
you know,
retired. You got to
hmm
enjoy life now.
hmm
Yeah. Yeah. Anything that is work is work, you know. Yeah. I understand.
you're
Yeah.
right.
Wow. So, how was it to live in Michigan in being a blue dot in a red state during yo-yo time in the White House?
It's still not easy.
I know.
It's a little more comfortable than it was then,
Then, okay,
not knowing who to trust. But I think a lot of people have grown wary of everything, both
yes,
sides,
I agree.
you know.
Yep.
And I see more people wearing masks.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that's good news, I guess.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right, because I think Michigan's trying to be first in the nation again at something,
It's
like
something.
being
Okay.
sick. So, it, I could always go down to Detroit area and find some peeps to hang with that would agree
Oh,
with
sure.
me,
That's right. You could.
but
Yeah, it's going to be different there.
it's
Um,
COVID and that's greater population, so it's even,
sure. Yes, understood. They're saying now, and I heard this about a week ago, that the Omicron variant, although it's not as bad and so on and so forth, that the cloth masks are not taking care of the issue. For even those of us vaccinated, we end up getting
Mhm.
sick because of the viral load or whatever that's in it. But it's nice to know here in Washington State, it's mandated you must wear a mask inside. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I tend to think in my mind that everybody's doing that, with the exception of Texas, when Susan Lynn says, she leaves the state to go over to New Mexico and it's like a totally different world.
It's respect.
It's respect.
and
Absolutely.
it's
It is.
lacking in some places. It's lacking, but people
Yeah.
are, I think, are beginning to realize, hey, I am
Yeah,
my brother's keeper.
we are.
Christmas does have a habit, all the holidays, Hanukkah, pulling all that together, it has a habit of bringing people into a central piece.
I agree with that. People are more generous usually. They're
Hmm.
kinder. Yeah,
Hmm.
I agree with that.
Right.
So this is interesting. Andrea says, in a practice today, you looked at COVID collectively as psychics' powerful information came through. I also think that COVID was instrumental in bringing most of us here. Do you have any thoughts about that? Do you feel the same way?
Absolutely. For my own personal life, I
Yeah,
needed COVID. Not that I
yeah.
got sick, because
No,
I
I
didn't,
understand.
but
Yeah,
I needed that to happen because I was closing the door on 30 years in Virginia,
right,
25 years of marriage, and 12 years of divorce after.
right.
And, that's a long time.
It is.
And 25
Yeah.
years of working in one school, and
Hmm.
all of my community. I did the Wicked Witch of the West on my lawn for Halloween for all the time I was there. So I was saying goodbye to all of that because
Sure. Yeah.
last year I had 3 kids. That's more than the year before.
That's
And
true.
it is COVID. But, you know, I mean, they would come from all over. It was like the loaves and fishes. There'd be 250 people standing on my lawn looking for entertainment, and they were entertained. They thought I was really flying. They called me the house on fire. So it was closing all of that, and I tear up
Being
thinking
reborn.
about it because
Yeah.
it was working with children, which is what I did for a living. And it was not just being the teacher anymore, but the alter ego.
Right, having a little bit of fun. Yeah, yeah.
I'll get you, my pretty.
And your little dog too.
And your little dog too. These things must be done delicately. Every line of the movie.
Oh, that's great. Margaret Hamilton would love you.
I think she's got a piece of me in her, or
maybe, or your sister, again, being a sister from another mister in that case.
We had that same nose.
Oh, that's really great. I love that. But yeah, you were reborn. You've been reborn. It's almost as you started in Michigan. And then you went to Virginia, but you came back to Michigan, but not to the same town, to the same area? No. Okay.
I grew up in Detroit. So
that's right.
I have moved to Grand Blanc, which is about 30 miles from Saginaw. Actually, outskirts of Flint are 10 miles down the road.
Okay. You don't have any water issues where you are, I hope.
No, I have a well.
Okay.
I have artesian water coming into the house. But it has to go through a water softener, or I'd have to replace the pipes by now. So I boil it just to get rid of all of those salts because I don't want to be drinking that. It's not that it's going to harm me. I just don't want to be drinking it.
I don't blame you.
So I boil it and still run it through a pure filter, but it does taste like well water. You can tell. So it's, you know, I'm safe in that regard.
In all those years that you were doing all of those things, taking care of the ex, taking care of the kids, going to school, doing the witch, whatever it was, were you still able at that time, or were you talking to guides? Were you open?
Always.
Or was this only after you left all of that activity?
No, always. I just couldn't do it to the extent that I am now.
That you are now.
But always. Because each thing I did came from a higher form. From a higher source, not from, from a higher source. Each effort I made, I'm not trying to sound like I'm bragging, but I was the Miss Frizzle of the school I worked at CPI. I dressed up for everything. When I taught a unit, I dressed up every day of school as one of the things in the unit. I was a knight, I was a queen, I was a pauper, I was a peasant. I did all of those things. And then on the last day, everybody got knighted and I was the queen. And then when I did, when I became a leprechaun and did the Irish jig, and I became George Washington, I became,
wow.
I brought in all of my Native American things because though I'm not Native American, I really have a deep calling and connection that goes beyond. So I'm sure there's a past life about this. But I would bring in artifacts. I would dress like a Native American. On the last day, I would do a big spiel about animal kingdom and what it was like to live in those times in this country, in the way back times in this country, before the white man got here. And one of my guides is Chief Tonquish. And he's Potawatomi of the Three Fires Confederacy from Michigan. And it wasn't until recently that I identified who he was. But he has been my guide since I was about 4 years old. And right now I live on land that was Potawatomi land. I'm on Lake Kopekanek. Or Kopnaconic. I'm sorry, I said it wrong. Kopnaconic is the lake that I'm on. And it is what it means is the bread of life. It during an ice age, long before the white man got here, the corn froze in August. It was already bad
Oh, yeah.
in July and in August, and they had nothing to eat. And what the shaman had told them to do was to go to the river, and though you cannot eat the lotus leaves and you cannot eat the lotus blooms, you can harvest the roots. And they did so, and they roasted them, and that's what sustained them for that whole cold winter.
Oh my goodness.
So
Fascinating.
it got its name as the bread of life because that is what contained them. Kinnikinnick is a Lakota word, and this is Algonquin language that bleeds into the Lakota. And so that kinnikinnick is, it doesn't just mean tobacco. It's more of a potpourri because kinnikinnick is not just tobacco.
Right.
Though tobacco is important, it's got other things in it. It's got other herbs in there as well. Right. And so this was a potpourri of things to make bread. And that's kinnikinnick.
That's really, these stories that we hear, of a certain age, none of us learned anything very interesting about Native Americans who were called savages and Indians and all that stuff. Right. And there's so much that we need to hear like that shows the deep humanity and the brilliance of the Native American people. And I'm so glad it's coming out. It's coming out more than it did. And so stories like you and Andrea share is fabulous. So thank you for sharing that. That was awesome. So do you think your guide kind of pushed you to go to that area? Not pushed you, but.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. In fact, I was closing the door there, but I have to close doors here too, because I know that this is probably not my final place.
Okay. I love that though. Right? I think we need to remain open. Yeah. Yeah.
There's to be one more place to go. And
hope it's warmer.
No, it'll be about the same. It'll probably have even more snow. And actually the place that I'm at right now, we've not really gotten dumped on. The most snow I've ever gotten at one point is 6 inches, and that's nothing.
That's nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up in New England, so I know.
That's exercise.
That's right. Yeah.
Use the shovel. Don't even get the shooper out for that. Just use a shovel. Right?
Yeah.
But I have doors that have to be closed here too. I have things that need to be taken care of. And one of those things just recently happened. My very first boyfriend was killed in Vietnam. He was a year ahead of me, so I was a senior, and he had gone off to war and was killed in Nam. And he's been around me all these years. And I know it, and I could feel him, but it's not, he needed to cross over and I needed to help him. And so I've had my first experience where I helped a soul release and cross over. And so now he is a guide for me and not just a helicopter.
Right. Hopefully he's getting some peace of mind over there too. Yeah.
Right. And he just went like on December 11th. We had that full moon coming in.
Yes.
December 11th.
Yes.
And I was in a perfect place in the woods that I walk every day. There was nobody there but me and my dogs. And the sky was tremendous. That moon was brilliant blue with that Marian blue background and the faint streaks in the moon and her shapes. And then that bright white, and through the trees, this orange sunset that was just lighting everything up. It was a beautiful day and a good day for it to happen.
Yeah. Wow.
And so it did.
And so it did after all those years.
Right.
Oh my Lord. I was just talking when Susan Lynn was talking this Sunday, I was saying, don't they realize when they get over there, they can still visit. They don't have to hang around here, but there's so many different reasons why they won't cross. So how beautiful that you could cross him over on the,
And now he's a newbie on that side, so he still has to check in. But I've asked him to help me as a guide. you know, so that gives him free reign to go and do other things where other places that he has
Other places and other experiences. Yeah, of course. That's wonderful. Wow. I'm just going to highlight this because this is interesting. Tracy said when she was little, she thought she was a medicine woman and her dog was covered in mud and grass poultices and he had no sores. You know, I have a very interesting story like that, not for me, but for my brother's old girlfriend. She actually pulled boiling water down on the top of her head when she was 6 years old from a stove. You know, she pulled it and it landed on her. And her mother was Christian Science. So, yeah, they don't go to the doctor or anything. And they wrapped her up and she took her over to somebody else's house and they sat there with her wrapped up in blankets. And they, you know, and when they took the blankets off, not a thing, no burns, nothing. It was amazing. And she told me that many years ago. And I always was like, oh my God, because she could have seriously had third-degree burns and other things, you know, really be painful.
Right?
Yeah.
It does happen. In fact, that very thing happened to one of my brother-in-laws. He has pretty bad scars on his back from that.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah. I, you know, she had not one mark on her. It was just amazing to me that, you know, that this happened and I don't know, the power of the mind, I guess, and the power of prayer, at least in that case, you know, or maybe the powers that be knew they weren't going to take her to the hospital.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That might be very interesting. Yeah.
Well, and you know what? I gave myself an extreme steam burn. I had a water distiller and I had thought it had cooled enough and I lifted the lid and it didn't. And I had a bangle bracelet on.
Ooh.
And it stuck to the skin and I didn't know it. And as I pulled it off, so I slapped honey on it. 24 hours later, all I had was a red mark left.
Wow.
I just kept putting it on and putting it on.
The natural cure. Yep. Have a little bit here with my tea. Yeah.
Right.
Wow. It is amazing how these things happen. And I think sometimes we believe in something and then it happens and we almost are so shocked that it really happened that it's almost as though we didn't believe it, but it's just that it was so awesome. And yesterday I was talking to one of my students and I just love that story about you dressing up. Honest to God, it's what I always wanted to do. In college, I would dress up sometimes, but not as much as you. No, that's fine. But anyway, she's in her 30s and she said she was meditating and her kids all are homeschooled and they all are spiritual like she is. And she has cameras all over her house because apparently has one epileptic child. And so they want to make sure they can see, you know, wherever that child might be. But she said she was meditating and she got up and she walked out of the room. And for some reason, she looked up at the camera that was taking the video of her coming out. And she had an aura all around her like this, you know, and it blew her mind. And her husband said, oh, do you think that it came in through the window, you know, the light came in through the window and hit you? And she said, no. I said, that was all your guides and all your angels and everything. But yeah, that affirmation, you know.
The cameras that we have now are just so much better. They can catch, excuse me, they can catch those moments, those flashes, those vibrations.
Right.
Because in essence, you know, I don't know how the old film worked, but I do know that it has something to do with the warmth of your body and the light around it because you get variations of gray. So
right. Absolutely. And my dad, I can remember him in the 60s. He was always taking movies, you know, with no sound. And we got every parade that ever happened in my hometown. But, you know, he had those light bars on his just about blind you, you know, they were unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. My dad was into photography and developed film for a long time. He did that with those light bars while I had the double mumps.
Oh, wow.
You can't hold your eyes open to begin
with, and you're supposed to wear sunglasses.
Both sides.
Yeah.
My old lady cheeks or something. You should have seen those.
Oh, yeah.
Like this.
I believe it. And isn't it the mumps or was it the measles where we had to wear Sunglasses to watch. It was the measles to watch
Measles.
TV. Yeah.
And that's another childhood I had 3-4 times was the measles with rubella. In fact, I was sick with scarlet fever when President Kennedy was shot. So I was homesick that day. So I'm screaming, Mom, Mom. And she's in the basement doing laundry. She's like, you're making it up. No, I'm not making it up.
You can't forget where it was like the Challenger and it was like 9/11. You can't forget where you were on that day.
That's
And
right.
I had come home from school and I was in the 3rd, 4th grade or whatever. And my mother had just had all her teeth out. And so I came home to see my mom because she came back and that was the day Kennedy had been shot. Yeah. Just awful. Yeah. Juno, that's pretty interesting how they covered them all with animal fat. I mean, that has to be very Native American cure, wouldn't you say? Yeah.
I would think so. Juno, my dad grew up back in that era as well.
Mine too. Yeah.
Yeah,
My dad was 3 in 1920. Yeah.
Oh, well, my dad was a little older. But
okay.
Not by much.
Yeah. No, somebody posted a picture of their grandmother today on something that I was looking at, and they said she would be 128. She was born in 18 something or other. And they were Polish. Well,
my Polish grandmother lived to be 102. Her mother lived to be 96 after giving birth to 16 children.
Wow.
My mother was not so fortunate, but I'm descendant of the last king of Poland, King Poniatowski.
Oh, wow.
So if you think I'm a princess, you're right.
All right. Well, we got a princess in our midst. That's awesome.
My ex used to call me Lady Di, and he didn't even know.
And he didn't even know. Yeah. That's such an interesting story that you told us about your, I would say it had to have been dedication to your children's father. Am I guessing? Yeah. That was really the impetus for you remaining such a caregiver. And
when you love somebody, just because they're a jerk doesn't mean you shut it off.
Correct.
I understood him better than he did because, he was 2D.
But you didn't want to be married to him anymore. Right.
Oh,
right.
No, he did his last stupid man trick and there was just no more.
There was no more for that. Yeah.
Sorry if there's any men listening out there. I'm not trying to offend a whole gender.
I know. It isn't all men. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. But no, that's quite a dedication. Amazing. What did you teach and what level did you teach?
I taught early childhood development to the 4 and 5-year-old. And the way I taught it was pre-K situation, because I went beyond just the normal guidelines for a 4-year-old. But a big part of that is finding the child who has the issues that need to be dealt with early so that they have the tools they need to do mainstream further down the line or get all the special ed they need before any mainstreaming at all.
Wow.
And
we need more advocates like you.
And the hardest part is getting mommy and daddy to believe you.
To believe it. Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's nothing wrong with Johnny. Well, this is a co-op school. So you come in the classroom to be an aide once a month. And that helps to save your tuition, right?
Okay. Yes.
So, you still pay tuition, but you get a discount because you take on part of the job. So when they come in and they see that their kid doesn't measure up the same as somebody else, or that this is the level because everything needs to be on a straight line for the government. So this is the level that they should be at. Some are a little bit above, some are a little bit below. But when they're down here and the line is here and your kid's way down here, there's a problem. If he screams and hollers over every little thing, there's a problem. And it's not just being a spoiled baby, because you get that too, but
Yep.
there's a way around that as well. So you get, it's finally you get through to the parent, but usually it's not until they get into first grade, and then that teacher has to tell them, and it's already maybe too late.
Yeah. You got to get them early. Yeah,
Right,
absolutely.
because 7 is
Uh-huh.
called the age of reason for a reason.
Correct. Yep.
And it's too late then.
It is too late then. You're absolutely right. So you and Andrea, in different ways, but in similar ways, were
And she lived in Michigan, and she taught still
okay.
in Michigan.
Okay. Yeah, no, the way she taught with her kids, you know, her sped kids, and how you
Her
taught
special
with the
kids,
younger
yeah.
ones. Yeah, yeah. That's absolutely wonderful. And for me, I can't deal with parents at all, so that's why I stick with collegiate, because I don't have to. Yeah.
They're kind of almost
Yeah.
adults.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Chris, I was telling one group the other day, you know, I know some of you are only 15 and 16, you're not adults yet, but because you're sitting here in my classroom, you're adults, and that's what you'll be treated like. So I won't be chatting with your parents, you know. Mommy and daddy, I'm going to help you out, you know.
Do
Yeah.
you find they rise to the occasion?
Oh, they do. They
Absolutely.
really do. And my son, when he started doing sort of this dual program when he was 15, and he's a big guy, and he's sitting there, and somebody said something, and he turned to them and said, "Well, I'm 15," but he's dealing, you know, he's sitting with 20 and 22-year-olds, and you know, not everybody can do that and do it successfully. But I've seen them rise, and they are amazing. And this whole group of youngsters, I guess is the best way. A lot of them are really very they're intelligent. They know what they're doing. They make good choices. But then you also have the other side, and the other side is they tell you, I can't do that because it triggers me, or, you know, so you have some of those as well. But, you know, we didn't have those choices or those options when we were younger. You know, we just had to do whatever it was. But
12
anyway,
years of Catholic school, yeah. No
yeah,
options.
yeah, I know. Yeah, that had to be difficult. Yes, Andrea. Yeah, young light workers. I love that. Yeah, yeah. They are. Yeah, they are young light.
You know, and I have a job for us light workers as a group,
Okay,
if I may
you
mention
may.
it here.
It's your choice.
The wolves have been taken off of the endangered species list, especially the gray wolf.
Okay.
Who is able to sustain itself in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
But what they've done now is put it in the hands of the state, and not all the states are honoring it. So poachers are running wild. And I just caught a thing on the yellow wolf in Utah. 20 of them had been poached in the last couple months.
Wow.
Like December, January.
Uh-huh.
And so then I did further research, and every state is basically like this. Like Wisconsin has a controlled hunt because their population is safe. Mm-hmm. So they have a controlled hunt.
Right.
And they cut it short because in less than 3 days, they had gotten 230 pelts, and 130 was the limit.
Oh.
So, and then a judge came in and said, no, we're not having a second hunt this year.
No.
So they canceled the one from the fall. So if we have a big emotional full moon coming up on the 17th.
Correct.
So if everybody could please just take a moment, hopefully when the moon comes out, go outside, speak to your guides, call down the powers that be, howl at the moon, act like a wolf yourself, and ask for extra protection for the wolves.
For them.
Because they will go extinct just as the polar bear is having trouble. As everything.
And the seals, when they, you know.
Oh, and the manatee, because the water has risen so, their temperature has risen so much. That,
and the boats go over them and scrape them and everything.
Well, yes, and the algae blooms are depriving them of the cold water that they need to survive and find food. And so that's killing off the manatee. 200 were just found dead in the last 15 days. I wrote the date.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
I'll have to check.
This is another news blurb. So
well, and unfortunately, they're in the state of Florida, and the state of Florida doesn't really seem to care too much about anything, you know.
Anything. And
anything.
not their people. So why would they care
Right.
about a manatee?
Why would they care about that? Yeah, I
Right.
know it is awful. I agree. Collectively activate that. Why don't we throw in the manatees and the
Yes.
seals as well? I
Yes.
mean,
By all means. And the polar bears, they're
and
canine.
the polars. I've saw some real skinny polar bears that are hanging on to little clumps of ice.
Yes.
Very sad. Yeah, I know. So they kill these wolves for the pelts. Is that what you're telling me?
Well,
Because I
they're
can't understand why you'd hunt a wolf. You're not going to eat it.
no, but
You
they
know,
say that they're going to eat their chickens. Well, I don't think so. And if that's the problem, why don't you, and you want to shoot something, why don't you just tranquilize them and take them back to the park that they strayed from? Because they came from
absolutely.
a reserve to begin with. They're not just out wild.
Janet's daughter and sister run a wolf dog refuge. Thank you. We want to send
Bless
lots of
you.
love to them, Janet. Thank you. That's wonderful.
Yeah, blessings.
Multitudes of blessings. Absolutely. I ever since Dances with Wolves, to me they're just dogs, that are they're undomesticated. I know they're not. I know they're a separate breed.
Well, they
Yeah,
became domesticated because they adopted a human.
right.
They decided who they wanted to
Who
live.
they wanted. Correct. Yep, you're absolutely right.
Walking in a sacred manner is the way of the Native American.
Yep.
They didn't need the same kind of laws that we seem to not even be able to uphold ourselves. I mean,
Yeah,
they lived so differently. Ownership was not an issue.
correct. Yeah. And that's
Community
why
was
there's so
important.
many stray dogs in the Navajo Nation in some of those areas because they didn't bother with them. They'd let them live and take care of themselves.
Hmm.
I agree. Hello, Dr. Gale. I agree that let this be the beginning of action on this in this community. I think we need to advocate for the animals, and yeah, absolutely. And
Hmm.
thank them, Janet. Honestly,
Yes,
I
Andrea.
I feel I got the goosebumps here that
Yeah,
we need people like your sister and your daughter
right.
to do those kinds of things. Yeah. Um, wow, fascinating. And I know what is it? Juno's part of the wolf. Her family's part of the wolf clan.
I saw
That's
that. That
awesome.
was great.
Yes, absolutely. Um, wow. Well, we're sort of coming to the end here of our
Oh,
talk. And an hour goes by fairly fast, but
it sure did.
we've kind of had some great. Uh, that's why when I said to you in the beginning, just relax, because it really does tend to take on a life of its own, and it's okay wherever it goes. So
Well, and it felt like
yeah,
I was just sitting in
just sitting having
Starbucks with you.
coffee. Right, right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, I want to encourage you to come back again if you wish, or for anybody else to let me know, because that's what this is all about. We learn from each other. And so excited that you're going to be working with Andrea with your cards, explaining your cards, and then we'll show that here for everybody to see. And if we do that as well, I want you to know this. It will be a pre-recorded, because you'll do it on Zoom.
Right.
If you show up when the pre-recording is, you can interact with the chat people as
Oh,
it's going on, just so you know. Yeah.
oh, yeah, of course. Hello.
Uh-huh. No, but I did it. I gave some kind of a talk and I pre-recorded it, and then I went to see if it showed up all right. And then I'm talking to everybody in the chat. So it was kind of fun to be a
That's cool.
participant as well. Yeah.
Um,
So, okay. Thank you. Refugeridge.org is
okay.
I'm going to write that down.
Me too. Hold on.
Refugeridge.org. All right, Janet. Thanks, Janet. I will definitely check it out. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Andrea, thanks for asking her. Yeah,
Do
we'll
they
be
have an
looking.
Adopt a Wolf program going on too?
Ooh, Janet, do you know if they have an Adopt a Wolf program? If so, that would be awesome. That
Right.
we could do that. Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, So a couple things I just want to mention once again. Remember that Diana is oil painter and has these beautiful cards that she sells, and she's going to be coming on. And Andrea says, anyone wanting to be a part of Diana's card class, you can come work with them if you wish on the Zoom that you'll be doing. And if you're interested in buying the cards, let me know. I will be in contact with Diana. They are $25, but I'll give you her email and you can work the details out.
Right. And Andrea, you need Andrea's email in order to get a hold of her to get the Zoom numbers to be a part of the card class.
To be a part of the card class. So once again, I'll be the intermediary. Just send it to me at heartandsoulconnected@gmail.com. All right. And thank you so much, Diana. What a pleasure.
Light and blessings to you. Thank you, Allie. You do great. I love to watch your shows.
Thank you so much. You're a sweetheart. So hang in there for a minute and we're going to say goodbye to everybody and then we'll talk at the end. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. Have a great day.